Hello and welcome back to the No Limits Times Coaching Collective podcast. Joined once again by Michael and James Garcia, and we are currently in person again, so second time
Back to
this
back.
week. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing the pre and post prep period, and hopefully provide some insight if your goal is to be a competitor or if you're currently a competitor, with some of the fundamental frameworks you should have in place before you do begin the endeavor of competing, and also the post-prep period where it can actually be a lot tougher than the prep. Like, would you boys agree that post-prep, it catches a lot of people off guard?
Depends on the
for sure.
person.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it depends on the person's mindset and what they're sort of trying to get out of competing as well.
For sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so kicking things off with the pre-prep period, what do you think are some key fundamentals, let's say nutritionally, a competitor should have in place before they're beginning their prep?
Do you want to start?
Yeah, I feel like the most important thing is just having consistency of data collection and metrics.
Mm-hmm.
So rather than going too deep into that, like just complete surface level, if someone hasn't established a degree of consistency around nutrition training, supplementation, data collection, periodization, etc., then you're almost going to be stabbing in the dark at the start of the prep. You're sort of going to be playing guesswork, collecting data from there, and then as you go on, it's just going to be a game of learning where everything is at with the individual.
It's very messy.
Yeah,
So having that degree of consistency and whatnot at the start is probably that's above all else to do with any kind of physique position or whatnot as well. Because I know that some individuals will hold a higher body fat percentage throughout the course of their off-season or push phases, but they come into prep relatively easily and they can pull that off relatively easily, where I've had other individuals at 20 weeks out, hypothetically, they look relatively good, and then you push them along throughout the prep, but they don't respond the same. So the actual physique itself, standalone, to me, doesn't mean much. Sorry to ramble on there.
No, that makes sense.
No. I was going to say as well, I feel like at the start of a prep, you probably have to realise that there's always going to be more that has to come off than you probably anticipate, which is probably a top one. And another thing is as well, I think that your physique, having someone at the start of prep, you can't always think, I'm going to keep this person in good nick, good shape, it's fine. We get to the start of prep and they're still in relatively good shape. But you do also have to realise you can't sort of go easy on them because they've started prep in a better position than someone that hasn't.
Yep.
Because I still do feel like you can just pull off from that and then at least incorporate refeeding and diet breaks as well when they're in pretty good shape too. So.
Yeah. And would you guys say a pre-prep period is a non-negotiable thing or dependent on the client? Is it something you like to do? So basically, if you're listening, pre-prep period is like you almost treat it as like a mini cut. So you're in your off season, you do a bit of a mini cut, tidy up some body fat, build calories back up, and then begin prep. So then you're starting in the basically leaner condition.
Yeah.
And almost it's a good test to just see how quickly things come off too, I guess. But is that something you boys use? Or?
It's just going to vary on the person how you would approach it. Because some people, if they're at a reasonable level of body fat to begin with, I just pull them straight to maintenance for 4 to 6 and just pull off as much fatigue, I guess, as possible.
Yeah.
And then, for example, if they were holding 12,000 steps at the peak calorie load, I would aim to bring the output down as low as I possibly can. So let's say 7.5 would probably be the lowest I would go. I look to pull out aerobic work as well. And by doing this, not only are we putting them in a position where they're fully optimized to have any variable thrown at them, there's also plenty of variables to play with, because we can go from 7,500 to 9,500. We're not over that even 10,000 mark yet, and we've still got overload variables at play. And then same as cardio, because obviously through an off season or through a growth phase, I would always keep aerobic work in. So that would be at least 60 minutes per week. But for that pre-prep phase, I'll pull it out.
Yeah. So it's almost like priming. So you almost want to have as much wiggle room as you can with calories to pull from, as much wiggle room with that expenditure to push up to, so that way you don't run into the point where maybe doing 20,000 steps in your off season, and then it gets to the point where you adapt to the diet, and then it's like, well, fuck, all we can do is pull calories or push expenditure higher, but you're already
you only have so much. That's
smashing
why
it.
you got to make sure, I guess, you don't exceed your limits as well when it comes to expenditure. I feel like it's just one of those things where it's probably a better thing when you are in that pre-prep phase to taper all your steps down, at least so you're not, I guess it's just so you have more tools in your pocket to use when you start prep.
100%, yeah.
Like, there's no point of having someone in off seasons doing 15,000 steps to then pull them into prep, and it's like, well, fuck. You're going to keep doing, like, it depends as well. Like, I feel like some people work-wise, they probably have to get 15,000 steps a day, and that's probably a different situation. But at the same time, it's like, I feel like when you come into prep, it's like, well, realistically, we're starting prep at 15,000 steps as your daily step count, because that's what you get. Like, that's what you're doing. The roughest thing could be with that is if people, I guess, change jobs, if like the job is the reason why their step count is so high. So like you get halfway through prep and then it's like, oh, I'm changing jobs to an office job now. And it's like, well, fuck. Like, what do we do now? So it's like, I really try to implore people to move as little as possible. Even if their job is very active. So it's like, take the shortcuts.
And it's oftentimes it's tough. It's like when you try to sell just take it easy, you're almost like, what's going on? Like, I want to do my best on stage. But it's always like that patience, thinking about the long-term reward rather than just the short-term, let's dig. And something that I find really helps a lot is that where you are fresh going into prep, you're going to be so much more responsive, like, and psychologically too. So like during the pre-prep period, is there like a specific mental state you would like your clients to be in before beginning?
Bored. Yeah, a good one.
Bored.
Yeah.
Bored. Okay.
Bored. But before they start prep.
Yeah. So it's just like, training's pretty chilled. The volume's not super high. Nutrition's just holding at maintenance. Steps are super low. And you just want it to be as relaxed, zen, chilled.
Do nothing.
Yeah, because I understand the case for the cut, like the case you mentioned. That's something applicable as well when someone's a little bit fluffier though, and to get that early data collection as well. One of the things I don't mind doing as well at the starts of prep when it's a new client, and when I know that the standard that they have to reach is quite high, is I front load the prep to a degree.
So like more aggressive out of the gates.
Yeah, so out the gates, especially with guys doing untested feds. I go quite aggressive out the gates. I'll even throw lipolytics at it. I'll go a little bit more, not so much aggressive on the androgen loads, but I might bring in like a SARM. Catch my drift. And as a result of doing that, we can sort of usually get our feet and get up to speed, and then you're at like that 18-week out mark where you're like, all right, cool. Now we can sort of just go back to traditional, wash everything back out, and then just approach it in a normal manner. Because you've got to learn because some guys, like first time, it's very hard to get into stage shape.
Unless they're genetically gifted.
And the thing is with the enhanced or the tested crowd as well, we don't have to worry about, I was going to say specific down regs, but you don't have to worry, like from a hormonal profile amongst others, you don't have to worry so much about plateauing because you do have external inputs that you can use to break through the plateaus. So by front loading that a little bit harder, we know that if we plateau because we're sort of potentially cause some kind of adaptation, we can throw something out. Like let's just go completely specific scenario. Obviously we have thyroid down regulation is it within 3 weeks of deficit?
I honestly don't know the
I just know it's a rough number.
I don't know.
That's
I don't know the specifics.
I just felt like we'd spoken about it before, but that's okay.
We have. It was the last podcast, but it's this specific date. So when it down regulates, I was 100%. I just know eventually it will get to the point. It will.
But if you had if you were in a tested federation, you'd have to wear that down regulation all the way through, as opposed to if you drove that down pretty early in a tested fed, you could just throw thyroid at it. When you're at a point where it's like, all right, we can't afford for this, so if that reached that point.
So of course there is different approaches between enhanced and
there
natural.
I wouldn't really.
I think the risk of muscle loss is obviously greater in the natural federation, so it makes sense to have that front of mind. And something else about the pre-prep period. And I'm sure it can be a tough one to manage because it's out of your control and it's very innocent. But for example, like James, have you found that getting super hyped up and excited about prep before starting it can sometimes make prep harder? Or do you find just being super chill, just like, is what it is, crack on? Because I see some, like oftentimes many things like we get super hyped up about, super excited. But like I'm sure you're at the moment, like the start of prep's not like you don't need that warrior. I'm gonna kill it. Like
I don't know. It's one of those things where I feel like the first this is my third prep now. So I feel like the first one, there's a lot more excitement.
Mm-hmm.
Then the second one, there was a little bit more excitement. This time around, it's like, I know what to expect.
Yeah.
I know what's involved.
Yeah.
And I feel like being the third time around, it's like anything you learn from your previous. So it's like, I know you're right. It's like, I'm probably not as hype. I reckon if most people have spoken to me, I reckon I've spoken to Michael about 20 times and I've said to him, fuck this prep, let's just not do it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's just because I know, I'm not worried about feeling shit or whatever, but it's one of those things where I think it's just, I know what to expect.
Yeah.
Like I know what it's like. I'm not absolutely thrilled to be, well, that sounds bad. It sounds like I don't like bodybuilding.
No, but this is a good point.
You know what I mean?
Because I'm sure there's a lot of competitors that maybe have these thoughts where they're like, fuck this, I don't want to prep. But you're an exact example that you're still going to get on stage.
Yeah.
It's like we can have these thoughts. We can think, fuck this diet, I want to eat a whole pizza.
Yeah.
But you can still push through.
Yeah, it's like you know when to switch on. So it's like you switch on for it. And it's just like, I feel like it's just no different to my normal life this time around. Like I'm not sitting there being like, oh, I'm going to miss out on this, I'm going to miss out on that. Admittedly, my first one, I wasn't really like that because we're in lockdown. But you know what I mean? But still, it's like, I just don't feel like I'm going to miss anything. It's just like my normal day-to-day life. Like, it's like what I was doing in the off-season. Yeah. The only thing that's different is, I can't go out for dinner. Like, nothing changes. I was still sticking to my meal plan through the off-season. Like, so, and I'm a little bit hungrier. But.
And that's probably a good thing for the pre-prep as well. Like, you want to have your lifestyle aligns with beginning prep. Like, if you're sort of just, going out 4 nights a week for dinners, kind of tracking, kind of not, sometimes hitting your steps, sometimes not. It's going to be a bit more of a shock when you begin prep.
Yeah.
Where if you're just already seamless with the process, the only thing that changes is maybe slightly less food, slightly more expenditure, maybe some more training, and just a couple little sacrifices with maybe not going to your nonnas and eating all the pasta, for example. And it shouldn't be like this big, like crazy thing straight out of the gates.
Yeah, no. For sure.
Now, when it comes to the expectations, so you mentioned like third time around, you know what to expect.
Yeah.
So we know the positives, of course, pushing yourself, getting into next level condition, competing on stage. And something that I think would be good to cover is like, what are the negatives? Because I think in any scenario, it's always good to reflect on both the pros and the cons.
Yeah.
So like if there was someone listening that maybe thought, I want to eat like heaps of calories and still get shredded. Maybe they're worried about like, what other people think of how low their food might get. And maybe they think like, 15,000 steps is a lot, but they might need to do more. So what are some
I don't even think 15,000 steps is low for a prep, to be fair.
High.
There you go.
High. Wait, high. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like the biggest one for me is probably, it's not so much. I reckon it's probably just self-doubt.
Yeah.
And like, it's not so much self-doubt. It's just more, I feel like it's especially as a natural competitor.
Yeah.
I sit there and sometimes look at myself and I'm like, have I even put on muscle? Like since I competed last? Like, so I feel like that's probably the biggest thing. But at the same time, it's like, you still need to build, I guess, everything around it and make sure that your foundation's really good. You make sure the support network's good, because when you do go into those sort of positions, I guess just knowing that someone's there to be like, nah, because like your vision's always blurred, like especially on your own physique, like you'll always look at yourself and be like, oh, it's not good enough, or I haven't put on size. And then I have people that like come up to me and they say to me, oh, man, you've put on heaps of size since you last competed or whatever. And I'm just like, oh, okay, thanks. Like, I don't think so, but
Yeah. That makes sense, 100%.
Yeah.
And that's a great reflection too. Like, how many times have you boys like put up a comparison from a client and they're like, fuck, I didn't realize, like,
is that much
I thought I made no change. I thought I looked worse.
Yeah.
And then they see the photos like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
So it's like we're our own worst critic.
Yeah.
And we're also just got these vision of our progress that just is so blurred. So another good reason to have a coach, to have someone that's, of course, a coach is going to be honest with you too. So you'd hope 100%, not just blowing smoke.
Your ass.
You want to keep it real.
Or on the back end of prep, I've done this before. You sort of tell them like, you know what, everything's gone good, all sorted. On the inside, you're like, fuck. So you just send their nutrition or their programming. Like, as in, so what I mean would be like, you look at it 1 week, they're stressing out about not coming along well enough. You can't tell them that because then you just add to the stress.
Of course.
So you sort of play it off like, no, it's all cool. But then with the programming changes, you're like aggressive as. They probably look at it and think, wait, he told me everything was good.
And oftentimes the way you say it, the way you say it as well, it's like, look, we're just going to be a little bit more aggressive here just to make sure that we get it. Like, not just like, fuck, we're behind A. We need to really put the hammer in. Like, I think, the psychology on the delivery, because, you know, anyone can just create a plan, but it's also how we deliver it. And I think that's great, like showing the care for the client's mental state. And we know that if you're, you know, super stressed out about something, you're more likely to, you know, fuck your sleep, just your quality of life takes a hit. Probably appetite's going to skyrocket.
I find in those situations where the stress becomes high and there's already like bowel movement issues, it usually aggravates it.
Yeah, 100%.
I was going to add to that too. With how you handle those situations, this is where it becomes important that you understand the client. Because I have some clients who I need to physically tell, like, you look shit, keep the foot down. Otherwise, because they're so, I guess it's I don't want to say ego. I guess
confident.
Because they're so overconfident.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do, like, so there's cases where they're 6 weeks out, and I've got 2 clients in my head. I won't name them. Like, I got like one girl 6 weeks out. If she was behind, okay, I would have to say what we said previously. Like, I'd say everything's on track, don't worry, and then just make the programming adjustments. And then I have a guy on the other hand who, if we were 6 weeks out and we're behind, I'd straight up have to say, like, you're not up to it. We need to put the foot down. Otherwise, it just would not go through.
You almost have to put that pressure on.
Because in their head, it's like, I'm going to win, and it's like, not like this.
Reading the client's definitely a very important thing. And so
sometimes you just got to bring people down to earth as well, though. You got to make their expectations realistic. Like, you've got to realize you're probably not going to win your first show,
and that's okay. And that's okay. And that's, I think, a lot of people,
especially if you're young.
Yeah, and if you put the pressure on that you have to win or else it's not worth it, it's like, well, fuck. You know, it's such a, what's the word I'm looking for with the judges, how they can just, you know, you could be a winner, but then you might, for some reason, maybe it might be opposing, and then the other person wins. So,
I said yesterday, easy, like, to the clients, if they can't pose, there's no point in competing.
Yeah, you definitely have to take that seriously.
If you can't pose or you're not willing to put time into pose or money into posing, don't compete.
It's like you put in all this work, and then it's the presentation.
That's the most important thing. It's like and it's one of those things. Who said it? I think it's Daniel Coffin. On Instagram, he's a posing coach, and he always says your physique can be first call out standard, but your posing can be last call out standard. So it makes a huge difference in 100%. Winning and not winning.
And bodybuilding physique is a endeavor. I mean, not an endeavor. What am I talking about? An illusion. So, like, you can learn how to maybe hide your weak points. And then the judges can't see them as clearly. And then that could be the thing that pushes you to first instead of second or fourth because you're posing so whack.
A good example for that is my lower lats and lower back aren't that developed. So in a back double bicep, I lean back more. So it shortens the gap between that lower back and the lower lats. So it sort of makes you appear a lot bigger. But there's so many things you can do within posing, like you said, to create an illusion so you do look bigger. And there's things that you can, you just hide. It's easy to hide things. It's easy to hide things through transitions as well. One that's probably harder to hide when you're standing there. I feel like it's easy to sort of, say for example, gyno, there's a decent amount of stuff that you can do within your transitions to hide gyno, but at the same time, it's like that's something that's very hard to disguise when you're sort of just open there. But like, if you've got shitter obliques, like if your obliques make you look wider because they're more developed, like there's ways you can sort of taper your waist so you look smaller. Like there's heaps of stuff that you can do, but you're right, it's just presentation. And I feel like the whole point of bodybuilding is you're meant to present yourself, and if you can't present yourself at the top standard, it's like, what's the point? Like, that's the whole point. It is, and at the end of the day, people hate hearing it, but it's a beauty pageant. Bodybuilding is a beauty pageant. Like,
glorified beauty pageant.
Just with more muscle. You're walking around with less clothes on.
Like, we're literally the people, you know, like, say you go to the airport, you see the dude with, like, the purple mohawk, like all the emo vibes, like we're those people. We're like to society. Because like we just stand, not that I have, but you stand on stage oiled up tans, it's like, what? But of course, it's everything else. And if you look at it, like it's just a stage day. That's another thing probably to take if you're a new, like it's the prep, it's the challenge, it's what you can achieve throughout that.
Spot on.
Yeah, of course. It's amazing how many people place the top end and they don't know how to pose at all either. And to me, it just shows it's just a reflection of work ethic and where their head was at throughout the course of it.
Yeah.
Because if you're not posing throughout, it tells me that your head's not there.
Mm.
Or
If
you
you
just
don't
don't have
wanna
a
pose
good
every
degree of
day.
awareness around it.
Yeah,
If
sort
you're
of
not getting leaner and leaner and looking better and better and you don't want to pose, like there's something wrong.
100%.
Like I pose way more at the back, like not the back end, that's probably the wrong way of saying it. But like obviously through a dieting phase, I pose way more than when I'm in the off season.
Yeah.
Like I look better. Why would I not?
Is there something you would say like new competitor comes on board? It's like off season, or do you wait until prep starts?
Pre-prep.
Pre-prep,
Pre-prep,
yeah.
yeah.
Just for finances.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for finances, I would just say when you're ready.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
again, you don't want someone just burning like
Yeah.
hundreds of dollars for nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can learn the fundamentals though. There's so much content out there, like TikTok, Instagram, whatever, that teaches you how to pose, and like you can at least get like something right. Like some of my girls practice from watching, especially the season B girls at the moment are watching a lot of the IFBB, like ICN, all the shows to sort of
Yeah.
get an idea on how to pose, which I feel like everyone should do anyway.
Yeah.
Especially being male, because there's so many more poses that you have to do. So I feel like practice-wise, it needs to be a lot better. Like you need to be on top of it a lot more, especially early.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Is there any key supplements you think like for natural competitors is worthwhile having in before beginning prep?
Before they begin prep.
What do you do, Rick?
I keep it very fundamental across the board, and then based on situations, we'll bring things in. Like
Yeah.
I might bring in like say prep veins kicking in. There may be like a studying student. They find their brain function is taking a hit. I'd recommend like alpha GPC.
yeah.
If they find their sleep's taking a hit, I might increase their magnesium. I might throw in some L-theanine. If their stress is really high, I'd recommend like ashwagandha throughout the day. So like sort of situations dependent like that. Nothing like too wildly random. Like I'm not recommending like testosterone or fucking anything like that. I don't know if you guys do, but yeah.
No, I've used it to raise a HBG before, but I don't think it even worked in the context.
I think it's sort of dead now because I think people realise that it wasn't really
Yeah, you can buy it off Amazon cheap too. So
Yeah, I was talking to a client today about that, where it's like so much of this stuff where you get like the snappy reels, and then it just sort of like, wow, and then everyone goes nuts about it. And then when they actually utilize it, then it's like, oh, what? This isn't what the reel said.
Yeah.
It's like that reality of,
Making money.
yeah, exactly.
yeah. No, what was I going to say?
Supplementation.
Supplementation. I'd start most people with low dose creatine and acetyl L-carnitine.
Yeah.
Almost all cases, and then a magnesium.
Is this oral
Oral
L-carnitine?
carnitine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You still think there's validity to having that in?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
At least for cognition.
Yeah, sick.
Yeah. And even like,
Sperm count as well for the males.
I think there was one study to show that like oral carnitine was at a specific dose. It was quite a high dose.
Yeah.
It was more efficacious for treating erectile dysfunction than what TRT was.
Awesome.
In people who had issues in that department. Obviously, there's more factors which we understand with the TRT. But I'd have to look back over that because that was a couple of years. But I do remember experimenting with it at the time, and I was on TRT, and I did notice an improvement once I brought the carnitine in. But I used a high quality carnitine. I think it was upwards of 5. It was above 5.
Start taking 15 grams.
It was something crazy. Because even with injectable, I noticed a huge improvement there and well-being. Back to the supplements, omegas, so fish oils, So I vary between fish oil, cod liver oil, and krill oil.
Yeah.
Cod liver just for the vitamin A content. Krill oil just because it's a bit more efficacious with lipids.
Yeah, yeah.
You still get lipid skewing in naturals, especially when their hormones start to go down the gutter. And then obviously, what was the last one? Vitamin D. That'd be the staples. That'd be the only staples.
The staples.
Yeah. I don't think there'd be much else that you just throw at someone.
Do you look back into prep to do multivitamin?
Yeah, that would be front to mid.
Yeah,
B complex as well.
Yeah.
B complex would depend. For sleep as well, you mentioned L-theanine and magnesium. I tend to go 5-hydroxytryptophan. I like.
Okay. Yeah.
Depending on the person.
Yeah.
And
can't be on anti-anxiety.
No, you can't.
Yeah, if you're on
just trying to
anti-anxiety, you can't do it.
I like Sleep Stack by Supplement Needs. That's usually what I just throw.
It's got 5-HTP in it as well.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, 5-HTP is a good one too.
Yeah.
Like if that anxiety.
Because you support the pathway between. Because you could even just do, even if like sometimes what I'll do is I'll do the 5-hydroxytryptophan Or I'll just load up on like turkey of some sort in one of the meals if I do like a bolognese because turkey tastes pretty crap.
That's actually
Yeah.
interesting.
Can you do-
So if someone's eating turkey and they feel
Yeah.
sleepy afterwards, because
Yeah.
I've seen this and it's high in L-tryptophan, right?
Yeah.
People
So
always
imagine
have
you
that-
smashing turkey in
People
like your
always have that
smoko meal.
Christmas thing.
Yeah.
People always have that like Christmas and American Thanksgiving, and they say, "Oh, you know, after your Thanksgiving or your Christmas meal, you always feel tired. It's because of the turkey."
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's because you eat so much food.
It's because you eat like an absolute
It's
dickhead.
exhausted.
Yeah.
But is it? I don't know. With the turkey, is it higher dose? Is it higher in tryptophan in the breast mince, or is it in the darker meat that it's higher?
I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
But I would usually prefer to breast mince if I'm bringing turkey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And others have got fillers. But then as well, if you're supporting that pathway, like I backload oats sometimes as well.
Yeah. same.
Yeah.
Just because you can dump in with like, you can get your vitamin C from like a berry of sorts.
Mhm.
You can get your zinc from like a seed. You can
Yeah.
get your B complex from a banana.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dark
you
chocolate.
do get your tryptophan from the oats themselves. Dark chocolate, no, because it's stimulatory. I don't like
Oh,
it.
at the end of the
Yeah.
day.
I
Oh,
do
you're
notice
talking
that.
his last meal.
I
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
notice that, unfortunately, because I love cream of rice with dark chocolate
Yeah.
bed. But I've noticed
have
that
it at the end of the
sometimes
day.
I'll just be wired
Mhm.
afterwards, and then I have to switch to almond butter.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Not a big loss,
Yeah.
but
I'd way rather dark chocolate than almond
yeah,
butter.
100% dark chocolate.
Especially
almond
in
butter.
oats. I feel like almond butter, if there's not enough in there, you don't even taste that it's in there. It's like, what a waste.
Yeah, but then and then towards the back end of the prep with the supplementation, you'd be looking at zinc supplementation, copper supplementation. This would be based on panels.
Yeah.
Thyroid support, further
Thyroxine?
recovery support, further sleep support. So
Yeah,
some what
yeah.
you mentioned, anti-anxiety and stress as well.
Yeah.
I get mixed reviews on ashwagandha though.
So do I.
Yeah.
Yeah. I find actually I've been utilizing Rhodallia rosea at the moment.
I personally hate it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't give it out just because I don't like it.
Yeah.
Anxious.
It's like, I don't like it, you can't have it.
Yeah.
I do notice I'm a bit more like level with that.
Yeah.
Ashwagandha, I do notice, like I've heard that it can sort of blunt all emotions and you
Yeah.
sort of just feel, ugh.
Yeah.
That's something I have noticed.
Mm.
But also sometimes I'm such a stress head that I'd
Put it
much
in.
rather that than the crazy
You get short
stress.
though.
I was going to say.
Okay.
Yeah, I get short. Like I think I'm snappy. I'm snappy on it.
Oh, okay,
Snappy at the
yeah.
best of times.
Yes,
So
you
it
are.
makes it worse.
Yeah.
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 That
I
makes
feel like
much
it's good.
worse.
I feel like it can have its place though. Like I feel like you could utilize ashwagandha for like not like sort of use it on like acutely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
So,
even
like,
if
you
it's a
put it in when you
placebo,
need
like
it.
I
You
take
don't need to have it all
this,
the
I'm
time.
going to feel relaxed, and then they probably do something relaxing
Yeah.
that actually correlates towards.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if the ashwagandha too, I find that it's varied because some people get a stimulatory effect, some people get a
Yeah.
sedatory
This is where
effect.
the brain neurons are set up. Yeah.
So you got to gauge that too.
Have you ever looked at using it in post workout? lower cortisol
I understand the
post-workout?
idea, and Joe's actually put that in
Mm.
my supplementation form to have it post workout. But usually I'm just so fucked after a post workout. I'm relaxed anyways because
Yeah.
as soon as I have
You're more tired,
usually my
yeah.
biggest meal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd see that'd be a good
Yeah.
spot. Like if someone's smashing caffeine beforehand,
for it, yeah.
they find they can't relax to eat their post-workout meal,
Yeah.
then it'll be a time that I would say maybe add that in, or just do some breath work, like short inhales, long exhales. Do that 10 times,
Yeah.
and usually you're sweet.
I've had someone in the past that trains relatively late that I've done it with, and they found it helped. And then I've done it with another client, and they nothing. Like,
Yeah,
so
Yeah, so
I don't know, but again,
individual
it's the same thing. It
specific.
could be placebo. You don't know. Like,
yeah,
I feel like that's the only time I've probably is when I know it's someone that trains later at night because you're gonna go to bed. Like, you don't want to be fucking stimmed out of your brain
of
from
course.
training.
Yeah, I went through a phase where I loved adaptogens. One thing I want to add, I was trying to remember that whole time to not forget this. I hate when people take blends of like adaptogens.
Like the adrenal switch.
Like, yeah, when I see
Yeah.
people post it and they say it's the best, it's like you don't even know what's working and what's not.
Mm.
Yeah,
And
like,
it's
why
like,
would
where do you adapt?
Yeah,
yeah.
you're slapping together like ginseng, ashwagandha, rhodiola. Like they sort of even conflict with one another in some departments, and like your response yourself within yourself could conflict. I will add too, just sort of. I know I'm just stinging off for that. I did like Panax ginseng for fertility.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's some good data around that.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I'm going way off track here. I'm going to just keep going
okay.
into
No,
it.
but that's a good
That's
one
okay,
too.
go.
Like expectations, like we were speaking about
Yeah.
before, you might lose your cycle.
Yeah.
You might. You don't know. And it's something of course you can get back, but just to have that expectation that it might happen.
Yeah. No, because for a couple of the dudes with the fertility stacks, I do, what is it? Zinc, taurine, injectable L-carnitine.
Taurine's
and
another one that I
ginseng.
might add in as well. Yeah.
Taurine in a prep.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Same thing, like parasympathetic drive.
Okay, nice.
And then also like potentially adding in alongside sleep stacks as well. And then if someone's sort of at that point, let's say they're enhanced, and then maybe using something like clenbuterol for the cramping side of things. And I find taurine, I sound like I'm just smashing anything that makes me sleep or relax, but I find like I like taurine. It's very just chill. So I think in prep, anything that can relax you, like just throw it in.
With taurine, I haven't read too many good studies regarding that in fertility, but I know I've seen some anecdotes, and because it's such low price and it's such a like well-rounded supplement, when guys do have issues there or they're coming off a cycle, for example, I just think, why not? Like you're paying $10 a bag, like it's in most of your pre's anyway.
Sperm health?
Sperm,
Yeah.
But what was going to add with that too? Yeah, on that too as well with taurine, now that we're talking about it, I think I mentioned this at dinner the other night, but in the clen, so the risks associated with clen, like they're actually relatively, like they're more significant than most people believe. But in every case where there's been like cardiac issues, there's a depletion in taurine.
Yeah.
So as soon as you replenish that, the risk is like
it's like cardiovascular protective.
Like far less. I think I did a whole piece on it. I just can't remember. It was something
I'll look that up because I'll be able to find it.
Yeah,
because Joe's got a whole informative clenbuterol ebook, and he's got
he does too. That'd be better than my piece. Tell you that. Yeah.
I'll send it to you. Don't tell Joe.
Yeah, I won't. Yeah.
He won't
What
be listening
about,
to his podcast.
Have you played with glycine?
I like glycine too.
Glycine as well.
Glycine is one. When I used to work at a sup store, they used to have like the packets of it, and one of my old coaches had me take it intra workout. Maybe helping with parasympathetic drive potentially, maybe my muscle connection. But I like glycine as well. I like anything that helps me relax.
Do you have it at the moment?
Yeah, but I always forget to take it.
Yeah, it's one of those ones.
I've got to bring it here.
It's good for body temperature reduction before sleep, right? Yeah.
Well, I think it's like
and that's
it was over 90% of people are deficient in it. And it's like it's essential for like a number of vital functions. It's not something that I've done like a heap of diving into.
No,
it was more something where the supplement guy was just giving it out bags, and I'll give it out bag. I'm like, give me a couple.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where it's like
I do use it for sleep though.
So many benefits and like very cost effective. So why not? Yeah.
I do give it to clients for anti-anxiety because I've done my dash in that, and again, anecdotally or observationally, I don't notice heaps.
It's subtle.
But because it's so cheap, it's just like
just why not?
May as well. Like, and because we know there is there is benefits there, it's like, why not?
And like me and James were speaking about the other day, when you're in prep, you just end up blowing cash on everything.
May as well. What else are you spending your money on?
What was it? 2 massages a week?
I
like that. I
almost got to 3.
I brought it up to a client in their check-in this week where I was like, because she mentioned that, go get my steps in a High Point and just buy stuff because I'm saving all this money.
Get a massage.
And I was like, well, James he was doing 2 massages a week because he was saving all this money, not going out. And I thought, like, that's awesome. You like time, not eating, forced relaxation.
But it's not only that. With the walking around buying stuff at High Point, especially if you're in prep or a dieting phase, stupidest thing you can do. Because those clothes, I tell you what, in 6 months' time, can fit you.
So this is
very true.
With as well, like sort of picking a topic out of this as well, cost efficacy of a prep.
It's
not cheap. I had an inquiry last night of and he straight up asked like, what am I expecting to pay a week? And I told him my price, and he's like, no, like that's fine. Like I mean, like everything. And I tried to break it down, and I was saying to him how it would be sort of expensive, And then when I broke it down, I said to him, "Man, it's not that bad, is it?"
Yeah.
And he's like,
It's
I think
a
the
lot
girls
cheaper.
have
It's
got
a
a-
lot cheaper as a male.
Yeah, the girls
Yeah,
have got it
so-
tough. Those bikinis.
It's just but the girl expenses just come at the end.
Yeah,
I
it just
would-
like
yeah.
hits out of
Oh,
nowhere.
but you know what? You say that as well. I find that posing, even
Yeah,
cost
posing is
wise for
expensive.
girls, way more expensive than for
Okay.
guys.
Why is
Because I feel
that?
like guys, once
keep
you
doing it.
click on, I don't think you don't need to do it as much.
Okay.
And not only that, it's like you with girls, it's like every federation has like a different walk.
yeah.
Like so, you got to go back and you got to learn MBA, then you got to learn ICN. Have a new one coming out tomorrow. Did you see that?
No.
ICN are getting
Yeah.
a new walk tomorrow, so they're gonna have like a T walk and I
fucking
walk or
hell.
something. So that, you know what? That means the show's gonna be even longer.
Yeah.
We-
Day coming up.
Are we going to go to the FMG show together?
Yeah.
Oh, it's in
I'll be
Sydney,
there.
isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh no, I don't want to go to Sydney.
I'll be there.
No, I don't have clients
Yeah,
for it. I just thought it'd be a
I
nice.
hate
I'd like
Sydney
to
with
attend
a
it though.
passion.
I hate Sydney. It's my least favorite.
I
City.
like all the,
Yeah.
I don't know, like the Eshe culture over there. It's
Yeah.
entertaining, but Sydney, like you miss one fucking turn,
It's fucked.
you're
Yeah,
gone.
driving's
Like 5 minutes from the gym, now you're 40 minutes from the
Yeah.
gym.
Admittedly, I was there in October and I stayed in Bondi and I was okay in this little square of Bondi.
Yeah, it's
It was just
day,
up and down.
No.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then as soon as we went like into the city, we went into the city for like a dinner. We went into the city for like one of the markets or whatever.
Chaos.
And it was it was pretty bad. Like I was just like, oh fuck these.
I'd rather
Yeah.
live in like Central Australia than Sydney. Yeah,
Outback.
Like, I'd rather live
Outback,
in like
Michael.
Darwin.
yeah, I'd rather live in Central New South Wales. There's nothing there.
Yeah,
It's better than
yeah.
Sydney. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
off topic. So what we're saying, cost of prep.
Cost of prep.
Yeah.
I feel like the only time it really adds up throughout the prep as a male is if you're using growth hormone
Yeah, yeah.
or primobolan,
Yeah.
really, in a higher
Yeah.
dose. Outside of that, like that side of it's not expensive.
Yeah.
Health supplements can be expensive.
Yeah.
Bloods-
of course, like
bloods
probably
can be
don't
too.
be like part-time working at Macca's wanting to do a prep.
Yeah, but you
No,
know what?
yeah.
These are things as well. You say supplementation, you say food, you say the like. That's if you're going to be a bodybuilder, that's
It's
always
already,
an expense.
it's
yeah,
already
but
there.
again, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
You know
So,
what I mean? Like-
so the additions would be posing,
Posing,
maybe
bikini.
some extra supplementation,
Yeah.
but then you're also saving a shit ton of money not
Yeah.
going out for, Nobu every week.
Yeah.
Not that
Mm.
people do that,
Maybe
but
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Don't you love it when someone's like just off topic again? When someone says they got to stop coaching for finances, and then you see them like out for dinner like
Yeah,
2
it
weeks.
doesn't
It's like
make sense.
it's like either you have no idea what you're doing with your money, or you just lied to me, and it's like, why would you
Yeah,
lie
like,
to me?
just
Just say
be
you don't want to do it
honest.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
It was like one of my first ever clients.
Yeah.
He signed on and basically he's like said the price. And he's like, oh, awesome! Like they'll be saving that money from getting on the bags every weekend.
Yeah.
So now I'll put it towards coaching. I'm like, awesome, mate. That's a great
Yeah.
investment.
Cheap
You're,
bags.
You're investing in your health.
Mhm. Yeah.
I think he was doing 4 sessions a week, so close
Okay,
enough.
maybe
oh,
not.
gotcha.
So,
Maybe not.
so definitely for sure, like if you look at the price of coaching,
Mhm.
but look at all the other stuff that maybe is negatively impacting your health that you're spending money on. Now you choose, of course, it's entirely up to you, but if you say your health is important to you and having someone in your corner to help you sift through the bullshit of the industry,
Yep.
improve your progress, not only in the gym, because you boys would probably see it all the time, like a client transforms their physique, all of a sudden they've got the confidence to go after a new business venture, their business kills it, maybe they leave a relationship they weren't happy in, now they've got an even better partner that they're more suitable to, and it's just that trickle effect just from investing in coaching,
Yeah.
because it's not an expense, it's not something you get nothing back for.
Yeah.
Well, I was watching. I don't want him to hear me say this in the podcast. Not that he'd ever listen to our podcast, but I've been watching a lot of Jackson stuff lately.
Yeah.
Pios, and like
Pios.
I've gained a lot of respect for him lately. But that's a whole other
100%.
thing. And he quoted in one of the videos I was watching. Damn, I've gone completely blank all of a sudden.
Oh no.
No, okay, no, I haven't. No, okay, no, because like 3 quotes went through my head, but the one that
Yeah.
stood out to me was he loves bodybuilding because it gives the entire day purpose from when you wake up to when you go to sleep.
That's
Yeah,
very
it is
true.
good.
And to think, so when you are investing in a coach and working with a coach is they're providing you with that purpose.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
people, you're paying X amount, and sometimes people might think, oh, but I don't get this much contact or this or that. But you're literally getting your whole, the way you go about everything throughout the entire day, throughout an entire week, throughout the months is dictated by that process. And people, I think that's undervalued.
Yeah.
in my view.
100%. Because
Yeah.
the way you feel, the mental stress.
Mm-hmm.
Because how many people just like, oh, I don't know what to eat. I don't know what I should be training. When should I do this? When should I do that? You hire a coach, it's taking care of you.
Yeah.
And they're going to set you up with a routine that's going to have you feeling a lot better, a lot more energy. Your sleep's going to improve. And you're going to get fucking jacked. So,
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, no, yeah. So like it's because I've had like a handful of coaches, and I can tell you, like my behaviors around the time with each of those coaches was very heavily influenced by the process, like whether that be how I dealt with like friends or family or events or whatever. So, yeah, like they sort of define the periods of your life, which you got. It's just why you can't be with the wrong person, or you can't pick just like the option the cheap option. Man, when people pick people for price point, I just think, like, let's say someone's charging 90,
yeah.
and then another person's charging 110. Yeah. Why would you pick the $90 one to save the money? Do you get what I'm? It's $20.
Like $20. That's like not even a Nando's meal.
Exactly right. And not only that, like in the scheme of it, if it's a shit experience, I find the time you waste with a coach is far more valuable than the money. Like, yeah.
That's a good way to look at things because I like to look at my time like I'm not that I'm earning money, for example, like for my time, but I like to see my time as like an X number. And it's like, do I see doing this thing, like maybe going to Fins, like is that worth that much to me? No, it's definitely not.
Do you not think it would be nice for us to just one day go to Fins and just be like,
let's go tonight. Let's go.
There's no way.
Get the Coke
I'll bring
Zeros.
prep for one thing.
If I'm going to Fins, I need
Fins.
them bringing out pizzas and sushi every 5 minutes. I'll say every 10 minutes, bring me another one.
Bad. We got to make up for the bed cost as well.
True. How many Coke Zeros can you have? And sparkling waters.
The amount of sparkling waters that we're going through.
Yeah. I actually liked Cafe Del Mar more. Yeah.
Bougie vibes.
Peaceful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Peaceful. I went with Izzy in July.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that was nice. Anyway, sorry.
The tangents building.
Yeah, I know. I'm not good at that.
Tangent.
So, post prep.
Oh wait. Let's get into training first.
Training.
I
Okay.
feel like we need to cap that one off.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll do the training.
No,
but is there something that changes much with training? Like for me personally, I like to have like in that pre-prep period, almost like chill volume, maintenance volume. We're not pushing the training super hard. We're not doing 2 days, 6 days a week. So almost same thing, like that fatigue management.
Yeah.
Which is maybe like I don't want to say novice coaches, but maybe like naive coaches that just like see things as like stages, like just get shredded. Don't think about fatigue management as much. But it's like if you dig someone and put him in such a stressed state, they're more likely to go stringy, lose muscle, and then what you bring to the stage isn't going to be as good if you keep a finger on the pulse of fatigue management. Now, that doesn't mean anytime the client says, I'm hungry, give them a refeed, but just keeping that in mind. So with the training, like, what do you guys have in play?
The training is, in my view, the way that I've gone about this, it's not something that I've actually probably kept up with theoretically. It's a little bit of a bell curve. Yeah. So throughout the front of the prep, so let's just say it's the prep itself, it's not the pre-prep. We're just talking prep now. I would start with a new split on day one of actual prep. And that would be lowest possible volume, like almost a deload. It would be a deload. Unless I physically deloaded the week before. But typically what I like to do with new programs is if the client doesn't symptomatically need a deload, I just start the new split at deload volume or just above it. And then I would titrate that up from the front of the prep. And usually as long as that's recoverable, that actually like attenuates retention to a degree. And then once you start to pass that bell curve, that's when fatigue starts to kick in and muscle loss becomes a risk. So what I would do with volume is literally bell curve. And then towards the end. But then you'd only taper down in accordance with the biofeedback and what you're getting. What you're observing in the client.
I feel like that's hard though. Like the
it's
whole
right.
Yeah, but not even that. Like biofeedback wise, like you could have someone, it sounds bad, but you could have someone that's just a little bit softer. And they think they're regressing. They think they're finding it hard, but it's just like they might not be.
That's why I think it's important in those cases that you talk to the client. Rather than just go off. It doesn't necessarily need to be a phone call.
But a bit of back and
I
forth.
think it does help to have like an actual back and forth conversation at that point. But you'd need to have like or just ask very concise questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is what I tend to do.
Yeah. Same.
You're gonna have some hardwired people who just want to push through as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Anthony.
Yeah.
Shout out Anthony.
Yeah.
It's like always like motivation to train. He'll put like some comment of like, "This is my entire life. This is all that matters.
This is all I do.
I will every second
will
of every
die
day.
under
I'm
this
looking
leg
for
press.
yeah, like literally.
Just copy paste
It was
it
just
for
like
every week.
10,000
Yeah.
out of 10
Yeah.
motivation train. But and then when he says, "Hey man, like feeling a bit fucked at the moment," that's when like
Yeah.
someone else is probably like, "I quit. Like I'm never going into a gym again."
Do you think, I don't know about you two, because like obviously I've backseat prepped with Michael, but with you two having people through preps before, have you found with training that as you get towards back end of prep, do you pull a lot of volume out? So like when I say that, I mean, do you pull out, say they're doing, I don't know, say hypothetically they're doing 20 sets in a session. Would you get to a point where you pull them down to like 15? Just
Yeah, so,
because you feel like you have to?
as we go through prep, I'll usually make adjustments with training where we'll pull down like the more fatiguing movements and swap them to more like machine base.
Yeah, okay.
I'll usually adjust rep ranges down as well because even though like neurologically low rep ranges can be fatiguing because you're lifting a heavier load, it's still not going to be as fatiguing as like a high rep set.
Yep.
So more machine based, more stable, and I will pull volume down as well because I haven't seen it where we've like pulled volume and then just the looks changed in a negative way straight away. So that oftentimes provides psychological relief to the client.
what I was gonna say, yeah.
So then their sleep's probably going to be better because they're not thinking, "Oh fuck, I've got 20 sets to do in the gym."
Yeah.
And then because their sleep's better, then the risk of muscle loss reduces. So I definitely find that that's something I'm more confident to do is pull the volume down as we get closer to show.
Yeah.
And then it's almost like what you mentioned at the start, it's almost like a deload as it comes near the end, like 1 to 2 sets per exercise. Very rarely would I just jump volume up. Like Michael, like usually like around that mid-range, things are going nicely and we can handle it, I'll push it up. But as we get near the end, I'll pull off. Yeah.
What about you?
I agree with most of what you said. I do get apprehensive in pulling volume out just because I worry that may jeopardize retention of tissue because the stimulus is reducing.
This isn't like a 50% size.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So like I likewise, but I would be very gradual. I definitely take the first step like you said and like you'd pull out an RDL.
Really?
Yeah, I'd like to
RDL
pull out an RDL. That'd be one of my earlier ones that I'd pull out.
Yeah.
Depending, if we had feedback which was expressing fatigue. We also don't want injury risk movements.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say, as you get further into prep, obviously you got less fat around your jaw, you're likely to do something. I'd say, even with myself, when I was prepping, I requested AJ at the time to pull out a lot of like my dumbbell stuff. So like I was doing dumbbell shoulder press and I was like, I'm way too scared. I'm going to throw this dumbbell up and fucking eat it. Like my arm's just going to go. Or so I feel like that's a good thing to change to machine-based movements because there's a lot of less. There's going to be a lot more stress on the joints when you're leaner.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what to add to that now. Yeah,
that's okay. That's good. Segues into Rick's point that we were going to segue into before, but I pulled him up on it.
The segue with the post-show?
Post-show.
Yeah, sweet. So if we could say like the pre-prep wrap-up, what would you say?
I don't know.
So we want to be...
Pre-prep wrap up. Don't be too fat. Allow yourself enough time. Work with a coach before 20 weeks out. Don't expect to win your first show. Don't expect to win any show. Realize that anyone that you're competing against is working just as hard as you are. I'm sure there's more.
Comparison is a thief of joy.
Yep, comparison is a thief of joy.
And not just physique, also nutrition.
Yeah, and one thing as well, you're never going to be ready. Yeah.
That was the one we didn't get into.
What?
People not realizing how hard they're gonna have to push in prep.
Oh, but we didn't really cover prep so much. I was mostly pre-prep. We just tangented.
But that's the expectation. So how hard do you have to dig? So example, James, probably your toughest dig. We could just use that as a framework, and also keeping in mind like your, what were you on? How much were you weighing on stage day?
I don't think I had to dig that hard in my last prep.
So you're all right. Some people do.
But I didn't have to dig that hard last prep, but I could have dug harder. So I could have been leaner.
Yeah.
I think.
Let's try to get a like for like situation in regards from my clients that I've prepped like for like. I'm just trying to think of a client who's had super hot, like been pretty reasonable, and a client who's been pushed. So Marion's pushed, and Tash was
yeah, I was
cruised.
going to say Tash.
And they were probably equivalent in... Marion was leaner,
Yeah. Oh.
but Tash,
Yeah.
if she had the muscularity of Marion,
Muscularity
probably
would
would
have
have
been
been
lean,
the
yeah.
same. Tash finished 40 minutes of cardio per week, so 20 a day, and maybe 1,600 calories.
Yeah.
I think I might have had her for 1,300 in depletion week.
Yeah.
1,300 is literally... 1,600 is like the lowest. Like, I'm talking back end. Marion was on like 870 and 45 minutes of cardio a day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's a great picture to paint.
Yeah.
The classic, because on social media, I often talk about like 1,200 calories. And like if you're eating 1,200 calories, you're just an idiot. But it's like also your goals are different than Susan from the fucking, I don't know, whatever.
Man, I don't want to see girls say that anymore. Like, all girls use that as their marketing pitch. Like, oh, if you
eat the food you love. Yeah, what you're eating. Yeah,
if you're eating 1,200 a day, you're
you'd be scoffing to your 1,200.
Oh, fuck off,
like,
you'd be scoffed. But then it's like, okay, do that. And then you go on stage and you come last because you care about a number. Like, you're going to have to do what you're going to have to do.
Yeah.
Like, calories
especially if you want to win.
Out.
Especially if you want to win.
Yeah, especially if you want to win. And like, as Michael just discussed, and, you know, sub 1,000 calories. And what you might have found too, because I found this with both Maddie and Lily had to get sub 1,000 calories. They can handle it.
Mm-hmm. Girls handle it really well.
They can handle it.
It's because their appetite's smaller, I reckon.
Nah, it's just physiologically they can handle it better.
Yeah, like...
Yeah.
So you might be listening to this and thinking like, Jesus, if I get to that, like I won't go... You'll be surprised. Of course, short. Like, we're not spending the entire prep eating 900 calories, for example. That's a tail end.
Yeah.
That's where it becomes a problem, because I had a girl start with me the other week from another coach she was on 900 for 8 weeks straight, no refeeds, no output management, no fatigue management, nothing. That's where it's a problem.
Yeah.
If someone's doing... If you've got someone on... I had Marion on 870 calories, 45 minutes cardio a day. Yeah? No complaints. No biofeedback down regulation. Was still menstruating, still getting her period. Like no fatigue. Like, she was tired because she was tired.
Yeah.
But she wasn't like super fatigued. Nothing. Like, in those cases, like it doesn't justify it, but like it does. And then she was still getting regular refeeds. This was mostly throughout the course of the prep, like in between the prep. So she was carbing up most weekends anyway.
Yeah.
Her carb ups were quite soft. Like, they were never above 1,600 really.
Yeah.
But if you were at that kind of level of input output and you were absolutely cooked and there was nothing in place to mitigate it, then that's when it's probably a problem. There is cases where I've had to just put up with that, but it usually comes down to relaying to the individual that, like, ideally here we pull the pin, and it's them that wants to keep pushing through. So you sort of just say, okay, like, if you want to, if this is that important to you, let's do it. It's happened to me, recently.
So basically, prepare to do a lot of things that you maybe don't feel comfortable doing.
And a lot of things that you think are not actually happening, because all the coaches lie. We had a coach lie to us. And then we got a client from him. Yeah.
What was his statement?
He never pushes his clients.
I don't push my clients
low.
I
never put my clients low on calories.
I don't push their expenditure high.
Yeah.
Like, I think
and then this
Dean
girl was getting murdered.
Yeah. So I think Dean McKillop was talking about this, and it's like Matty O'Reilly, who just won the pro card.
Yeah.
And I think he was mentioning like the amount of calories he was eating.
What was he on? I'm curious.
I won't be able to, don't quote me, but I think it was like maybe 2,200 or something, right?
It's low for him.
Yeah.
But then when you look at his body weight,
it's low for a big boy.
Comparison, like maybe eating 900 calories based on your body weight is actually, you're doing better than the pro card guy.
Dean does go. I know that Dean goes hard though on food. Yeah,
and he's great. And he's got great competitors.
Yeah, he does.
I feel like that should also lead into like enhanced athletes, because I feel like a lot of the premise of what we're talking about has been very natural based, but it also could be androgen load as well in prep. I feel like a lot of people also sort of lie about that too.
No, because I do
just
know
TRT. And,
I do know coaches that rather drive output and lipolytics than food.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact that he specifically goes food rather than output.
Which I get though.
Yeah.
I sort of get
fatigue
that.
management.
I'd rather food than output.
I'd rather pull food down. That's like me as well. Like I say to Michael all the time, I've said to him, I'm like, as you pull everything in, I said, I just want you to pull food out. I'm like, if I eat 1,200 calories, I'd rather be eating 1,200 calories and doing 300 minutes of cardio a week.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be honest with you.
And it's like, extreme example, but like Chris Bumstead, like at the tail ends of his Olympia, I think it was like last year, was it 1,300 calories?
Yeah,
he was
something
eating?
like that.
So
Something
if you
low
think like Chris Bumstead eating 1,300 calories and you're going to be
He's
able to
100
eat,
and
like,
8,
and then you
105
you think
on
like
stage.
these coaches saying none of my clients have gone under 2,000 calories in their prep. They're
They're lying.
fucking full of shit.
We discussed this. We discussed that the other night. I won't go into what I was going to say.
You'll
You
tangent.
definitely are going to have to spend time low if you want to do well.
Yeah.
Depends on the category. Depends on the standard.
Yeah,
depends on your how much muscle you actually hold.
Yeah.
But
Just prepare for the
Yeah.
suck.
Prepare for the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you think it's going to be all daisies, then you're going to get a real shock.
Yeah, for sure.
I think my first prep, I actually only went to like 2,200 and 1,500 on non-training days.
Yeah.
I used no lipolytics, nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still 1,500 on a non-training day, like that's...
It was crap on the day. I remember I used to pump Cokes, like zeros and
I
coffee.
was going to say, Jesus.
Like Coke,
No,
Jesus,
not
nice.
Coke,
That's a
not
good-
Coke.
that's a good prep.
No, Coke zeros. I used to have like 2-3
Expensive
cans a day.
prep.
Best prep ever.
Yeah. I used to have my ex-girlfriend at the time have to pick me up off the couch because I couldn't stand up on the rest days.
Fuck.
But no, like that was pretty cruisy. My second prep was like, I think I got as low as like 14, but that was overkill. Like that was not done well. Like that's why I think I ended up so low so early.
Yeah.
Because
podcast.
yeah, but nah. So you never know as well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And how you feel and how someone else feels at that amount of food as well, obviously, is a big deal.
I was
Like,
fucked at 1,400.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. You might just feel better going through
I've
it.
done a protein spare modified fast. So like if you're listening, basically just protein veggies. And I remember like Joe set this up for me as like a pre-growth phase, fat loss phase. And I saw it, I thought this is going to be the most fucked up thing ever. I'm going to be thinking about food 24/7. I'm going to be so hungry. It was easy.
Yeah.
It's almost like because it was so extreme, I found it quite easy.
Were you
'Cause
5
it's-
meals doing that?
It was 5 meals. It was like egg whites, veg, chicken, veg, extra lean beef mince, veg, Greek yogurt, strawberries, and then like a protein shake and blueberries or something. And I found it super cruisy. It was just the fatigue. That was the only tough part. So you never know.
Cognition would get me.
Yeah.
This guy here, if he doesn't have a carbohydrate in the span of a 3-hour window,
It goes hypo.
he's cooked.
No, Monster fixes it. Yeah.
Don't bring him up.
I was thinking this morning. I really like Bali coffee. Like you got to get it from the right place.
Yeah.
But like I
100%.
pick that over a Monster any day.
All right, for people who are going to Bali, top 3 coffees in Bali.
Oh, fuck. What's it called? What was it called? The one next to Avocado Factory was pretty good yesterday.
Yeah, it was. Just go to Avocado
Oh,
Factory.
is that BGS?
Oh, fuck,
No.
maybe it is BGS.
Is
Nah. Oh, it's like the little.
It's
It's like a
open
little
at
stand.
BGS
Is it BGS?
Really nice coffee.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys
Damn.
know more than me.
I'm trying to think now.
Revolver's good.
Revolver's good, but I reckon there's better.
I reckon
Yeah.
Revolver's too, like, everybody knows
Typical.
it. It's just like...
Yeah.
I like Coleco. I liked Coleco.
Coleco
Haven't been there
was
this
good,
time
actually.
around.
Yeah.
Coleco
yeah.
was
Check
good.
that out. But Coleco's not a popular one.
Beige,
Where's
Never
that?
been.
where the barber shop Faded is in Paranan. The coffee shop there.
Oh, that's
Beige.
inside it?
Yeah.
Oh, is that good?
Unreal.
He yells out to me every time I walk to the gym and says,
Coffee.
Morning coffee.
Yeah, there's YR.
Oh, that one there's good.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to check that out.
And they're
coffee.
Aussies too. He's from Gold
Yeah.
Coast.
What I don't like about here is they're all the coffee shops open at 7.
Yeah. It's tough because you wake up so early.
Yeah.
I just do drip coffee now because of
How'd
that.
you make it at home?
Yeah.
Well, no, the one outside Avocado Factory opens at 6.
Nipsey near you opens at 6.
Oh, that's near on the way to the gym.
Yeah.
Yeah, that opens
Does
at
it?
6. Yeah,
Yeah.
Nipsey.
Oh,
and then
I've been there.
beige is open at 6 too.
Oh, you can sit inside?
You
Problem
wouldn't
solved.
sit there. It's a barber shop. You just
Yeah.
order on Gojek.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, because I've been doing... there's one called Hula that opens at 6, but
Not good coffee.
it sucks coffee.
Nah.
But it's open at 6 and you can get food. But even their eggs on toast is not eggs on toast. It's some fucking omelette. Yeah, with broccoli and shit. And I'm just like, no, I'm not. I went there once because I was happy it was open at 6. It's nice inside. You can sit in the corner so there's no noise or anything. And I'm just like, I'm not coming back here.
So you
Yeah.
eat that early and you're in a cut.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I don't eat after my first meal for quite some. I've only had
Okay.
one meal so far.
I've also only had one meal.
I had a bit of
Okay.
I had a bit
Yeah.
of my second one just because otherwise my brain will go a bit funny.
Yeah.
But the coffee
realised
helps. Yeah.
I'm vlogging today,
Yeah.
so I just got to get a clip. So you guys just
Yeah,
keep talking.
that's right.
Catch me running these.
Yeah. No, in the cut side, when I'm in Melbourne, I don't really. So the difference between here and Melbourne is Melbourne I wake up later because my check-ins don't come through till later because of the lines of time
makes
zone.
sense. Yeah.
Here, if I'm at my computer at 6, 9 o'clock at home, so I've at least got like 5 check-ins at least, usually 10.
Yeah.
But so at Melbourne, I generally have my first meal at 10.
Yeah.
But to be fair, man, in a cut when I'm at Melbourne, I'm not that hungry.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a little bit different. I think it's just the sun and the vibe and
Yeah.
the fact
Wait, you're
that
just
saying
wanna
you
eat
get hungry at home
waffles.
or you don't get hungry?
I
at
don't
home?
get hungry at home.
I feel I reckon it's
I
high
get
stress.
way hungry
It's high
here.
stress.
Yeah.
If you get to eat.
Well, when I'm in Melbourne and I'm sitting in that office, I'm like, you're in that office to work. So, like, I
Yeah.
am stressed.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm always just thinking about new ideas. Actually,
I reckon Michael goes to
yeah.
3 cafes a day. While we're
yeah. Yeah, I do go
Got to
through.
break up the day.
Man, I hate going to more than one, though.
Mm.
Yesterday, I had a shit of a day yesterday being Friday because what happened? We went to that coffee shop outside Avocado Factory.
Yeah.
Then we went inside, and then they said we had to leave by 10. They tried to move our table at 9:30, so I went somewhere
And you
else.
were trying to work there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we went to somewhere else, and then by then I'm like to James, I can't go to a third place because I can't have any more caffeine.
So what you're telling me that all the people who talk about you come to Bali to work and it's going to be amazing. You can work from all these cafes and
Yeah.
no.
Mm.
No.
I do enjoy working for a cafe at the best of times, but other times I don't. It depends. I like to have my office. I like my office at home. Like if I was to live here permanently, I would set up like a kitted out office in the
Yeah,
villa.
100%.
Yeah. Like
That
a
would beat
Rick
the
standing
cafe.
desk.
That would beat the
Yeah.
coffee shops.
Yeah.
But what was I going to say? I discovered decaf coffee. So now I'm just going to go get them.
Discover decaf coffee.
Didn't
Like,
discover,
you've never
but
had it
like
before?
I just never thought about it because now I
It's
can
a
just walk.
hammer
It's a
decaf.
Because I'm not
sin.
going to walk in and say just a bottle of,
Absolute sin.
yeah, I'm not going to walk in and say I just want sparkling water.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fickle.
they almost don't want you in there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm.
Makes sense. So, back on topic.
On topic, yeah.
So
Wait, you didn't give us your top 3 Bali coffees. Go.
Revolver, Beige, Copenhagen.
Which one's Copenhagen?
Oh, Copenhagen.
It's spread around a bit. There's a
Yeah,
few.
there's a few.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
There's-
near, it was
there's
near
one-
us when we
There's
stayed
one
the
near
last place when we were
you
in here in
that is
December.
actually
Yeah.
will be open at 6 as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not like an eating place. They just
Mhm.
bakery.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And best banana flour sourdough. Made's banana flour.
I want to share something before we move on as well.
Yeah, go for it.
Last night, actually, I went
30
through.
minutes.
No, it won't take that long. Before I went to bed last night, I wrote up all my goals for the next 2 years, which is not a big deal.
Love that.
But I don't know, like, I don't understand why people don't do that, at least for the next year or the next 6 months. I always do that. Anyway, with the goals as well, all right, this is like a whole segue. Like, this is nothing to do with the prep podcast. But I just like this idea that I'm going to share with it. I believe every goal that I wrote down I'll achieve,
Yeah.
provided my habits align with a person who would achieve those goals. Does that make sense? So I've written out a list of all the habits which I have, the bad habits, which a person who's going to achieve this would not have as their habits. And I believe as long as I uphold that, that will get achieved. Does that make sense?
Amazing,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's something I'll review every morning.
Can you give us an example?
A person who's going to have that kind of success would not spend an hour and a half watching TV before bed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that approach where it's almost like think about the ideal version of yourself and then just act accordingly. It's almost like fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
Of course, don't like set the bar like I'm going to be Elon Musk because then you realize the gap and then you get paralyzed by that.
Yeah.
But it's like if I was to be proud of who I was and the habits I had, the lifestyle I lived, how would this person live? And then when you're in a situation where you're not sure about are you going to do something or not, it's like, is this going to move me closer or further away from that person?
Yeah.
And I think, you've motivated me because I need to do that too. Because every
Yeah.
time I've done that, even if I haven't like consciously thought about achieving those goals, I have.
Yeah.
Like I wrote down that I was going to live in Indonesia. I was going to travel to Thailand, move to Gold Coast. I completely forgot about writing that down when I was in Thailand on a scooter thinking, oh, fuck.
I did it.
It actually happened.
Yeah.
So I think the power of writing things down, and that's probably another good thing for prep too. Like even though like we did more pre-prep, but like journaling, writing things down is like a relaxation technique.
You get productive in prep. One thing I will add to that too, I find a lot of the time when I've set goals, you might not achieve them when you think you would.
But you will achieve them
Yeah,
if you look at
because
them.
I remember I wrote a list of goals on an old whiteboard years ago, like would have been 2021. And then I found that whiteboard like 3 months ago.
It's like
And then
tick,
I was like,
tick,
fuck, I've done
tick,
it.
tick.
The only one that I hadn't achieved was I think moved to the Gold Coast. But like I'm in a position that I could do that overnight now if I wanted to. I just have chosen not
Just
to do
a matter
it
of time.
Yeah, as opposed at the time
Frozen.
it was like a big thing where like I can't do this yet. It's out of my reach. Does that make sense? Yeah. But yeah, I think the important thing about what I mentioned with the goals and stuff too, I've actually put it in my wallet. So when I do my morning cardio, I'm gonna look at it every day.
I like that.
Yeah, just to remind myself.
Kind of like what Jackson does with writing the contract.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I added that too. I didn't know that was his thing though.
Yeah,
I actually put on the date out of it. I actually dated it and signed it as
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck, I might do that when we get home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds so cool when you write it. It's like, it's a contract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in the contract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've you know what's funny? Actually, you know what? This could be something that actually potentially this conversation could change my life because I've actually never ever done that in my life.
Mate.
I've
gonna
never
bring it up with
ever
you later,
ever.
to be honest with you.
Huh?
I was going to bring that up later too.
What for me to write down my goals?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
mate,
actually never
like,
written down my goals ever.
First week as a PT, thinking, how the fuck am I going to get clients? Stressed out, come home in the middle of the day, panicking, having to do calls, stressed out, like not being able to do these calls because I'm just anxious. And I sat there and I just wrote down, how would I like my life to look like?
Yeah.
And it's fucked, man, because it's literally exactly what I'm living now.
Yeah.
And if I never sat down and wrote those goals out, I maybe would have just gone with the motions. And who knows, I might have been one of those PTs that gave up when COVID happened. I definitely wouldn't have been, but I'd maybe just still be at a gym in person.
I remember like digging out equipment like for clients just so they could keep fucking training.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I remember driving to like Derrimut, not an actual, that's the suburb.
The suburb,
Derrimut,
yeah.
to pick up like all these barbells and plates. I remember messaged all my clients, what do you need? Came home with like fucking a ton worth of plates, literally probably close to a ton.
Fuck, you're a better man than me.
Yeah. And they'd all come and pick it
I
up.
just trained them dodgily at
I did
my
that
parents'
too.
house.
I did that too. Yeah. Yeah, the backyard. I got caught twice. Yeah.
I was training police, but I won't say their name.
Oh, the cops rocked up the first time. They were real assholes about it. The second time they just took the piss. I think it just went on for too long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they'll probably sick of it too. But
Yeah.
Let's not go there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah. So write down your goals.
Yeah,
and
write
then
down your
act
goals.
accordingly. I think
Yeah.
is very powerful. Because so many people say, oh, I want something. Like, for example, their friend competes and they want to compete. But then actually write down, like, what
Why
do you...
and
why?
Yeah. And
Why?
why? What and why?
I just feel like I'm in this phase now where I believe that the way that I conduct myself will dictate the outcomes.
Yeah.
So even now with my values, I'm really trying to portray that on my clients.
Yeah.
Because in the past, I'd be very adaptive to who they are. Like, as in, I try to sympathize and stuff like that. But I've decided, like, no, that's not like I had a client yesterday. I love the guy to death. But he'd give me excuses for weeks. And I realized that I'd always been okay with excuses. And I said, I'm fucking over this. This is not how I coach.
Yeah.
It's not what I want. And I said to him on the phone, like, I called him, would have been 2 days ago. And I said, bro, what the fuck are you doing, basically?
Yeah.
And then the next day he messaged me saying, oh, I did this morning, like it was off plan.
Yeah.
Usually I'd be like, it's all right, man, get your shit back together. And I actually replied to him and said, why the fuck did you need to have that? Like,
Yeah.
Why? He's like, oh, I was busy. I'm like, are you serious? Anyway, my point is, I'm trying to really relay that in my coaching now too. If someone doesn't like that approach, James or Isabel is for them.
Yeah.
Yep. And I now feel like, no, but like, and then you guys can decide what you do.
I
But
know.
now, and some of them have come back and be like, oh, this is not what he was like. Maybe it's because he's like wants to compete again, and now because he's dieting again. But like, it's like, no, I just realized like this is me.
Yeah.
Like, this is the message that I want to convey.
Yeah.
The kind of person that I work with, I want to take this feedback,
100%.
and it lights a fire under them.
Yeah.
If they get
able to
passive
work.
aggressive towards me or resentful towards me, like leave.
And it's a net positive because if you cause that reaction, it's like puts them in a situation where they either, grow from it and
Like
then,
crash and burn.
like good on you for like pushing them to that point. Because how many coaches might just,
Let it go, let it
that's
go, let it
okay.
go,
Whatever. And then like they're just 12 months into coaching and they look back, it's like I look the same as when I started with the same habits.
But it's like that's a big thing as well. Like I don't want you to waste. It's like I understand the whole aspect of like you're wasting my time, but it's like it's not even that. It's like I don't want you. Why are you wasting your time?
Yeah.
Like
It's
why are
at the,
you
at
not
the
doing
end
anything?
of the day, these are your goals.
Yeah, and it's like and it's like but this is a thing, and it probably does come back to the goals thing. It's like you got to think back to when you messaged me for coaching. Why did you message me? What did you want? I wanted to lose weight. I wanted to be 60 kg, whatever it is. But it's like, just sit there and reflect on why you initially did it. And 9 times out of 10, especially with lifestyle clients, they message you for coaching because they're unhappy with their position. They're unhappy with their life. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes people can come to you because they just want that help, whatever. But most people come to you with unhappiness because they're not happy with where they're sitting at the moment. And it's like, if you were to look back now, are you the same person that you were? Yeah, I am. So what are we doing? What are we going to do about it?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I
If
mean?
you don't change, nothing changes.
Exactly.
Good thing that I like to do is look back on their, like when you're doing the check-in, if they've had a few bad ones, open up their original Q&A
Yeah,
and
I've
look
always got
over
them
their
noted down.
expectations.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've always
and just
got them
say,
noted
this is
down.
what you signed up for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
This is why
remember
you're
when you
doing it.
mentioned that you were going to do X,
Yeah.
X, X?
Mm-hmm.
Here's your opportunity. And that's okay, like, as well. Like, there's always going to be things that get in the way, and sometimes you might drop the ball, but then that's what we're here for, to help remind you that, like, that's okay,
Yeah.
but get back on plan.
There is
Like,
there is a big difference
yeah.
between like dropping the ball because something happens and dropping the ball just because you're getting slack though.
Yeah,
Like,
oh, I was busy,
yeah. Like,
and
come
then
on,
it's
man.
like, you know.
Yeah, but even when something happens, like usually, it's rare when something happens that it's something that's bad enough that it would derail.
You can always
Like
make it work.
obviously a family member's death,
Yeah.
but depends on how close that would be to you. But like that would be a bit more of an extreme one where it's like, all right, cool, we definitely have to like understand that this is a hurdle.
Yeah.
But when it's like, oh, I'm stressed at work, or like, oh, work's put me under more pressure, it's like,
so's everyone.
yeah, like
Life is stress.
Yeah.
That's also where like transparency and communication also comes into it. And like when you do have a coach, you do have to sort of communicate everything that's going on because you could just be having shit weeks because someone passed away, but you didn't express to me that
like,
this person passed
stressed.
away.
Like, just
Like-
puts like high stress this week.
Yeah, and
It's
like I could
why?
sit-
What's going on?
Yeah, and
can
like-
we work through it?
You can sit there and be like, that's where that communication does come into play because it's like you really do have to communicate that because you could get to the fourth week of doing nothing and then I turn around and be like, what the fuck are you doing? And then it's like, oh man, actually I had someone pass away. And it's like, well, fuck. Like, you know, these are things you should communicate because, or it's like, you know, oh, I split up with my missus or, and it's like, don't get me wrong. It's
split
like,
up with
cool,
your missus
Mom.
is not an excuse.
Splitting
an
up your
excuse
missus,
to-
I'll be
Should be a
like,
big-
all
it
right,
should be
brother,
like, all right,
you got
brother, let's
extra
switch it up.
time. You know, you get those
Dial it
breakup
up,
songs
brother.
going, send it in the gym. Now's your chance. Like, I think that's when serious gains are
It's
made.
like when you
Yeah.
start dialing it up.
Emotion drives
You should be getting better.
performance.
I split up with my missus, man. All right, sweet. So what are we doing this week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go. More food, more
Yeah.
training.
Post prep.
Post prep.
Get back to it.
Yeah.
Post prep, you've got 3
Right,
minutes.
this will be a
we?
rapid fire.
It's 1:27.
Jesus.
Do
Christ.
you reverse out and gradually taper up calories, or do you go straight into a growth phase, or do you hold at maintenance, recover, and go from there?
Would we be best like sort of just introing this and then doing another podcast?
I'm down for that.
Yeah, post prep.
I think we could. I reckon we
we'll
don't
do
even
that.
intro it.
Yeah, we can just do a
Post
whole
prep next
one.
time.
Yeah, so post prep we'll do next time.
Yeah, because I feel like that was a good pre-prep and plus tangent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then the next
Pre
one can
prep,
be
some post prep, and tangent. Yeah.
yeah. Always going to be a tangent.
Yeah. Yeah. Damn, that went quick today.
Well, once
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
all right. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll catch you guys for the post prep podcast, which we will be doing
This week sometime.
this week sometime.
Yeah.
next week.
Yeah. Cool.
All
It's
right.
Saturday.
Done. Michael, James.
Thank you,
I'll
Rick.
speak to
Thank you, Rick. Thank
very
you,
soon.
Michael.
Thank you.